my friends, and I am so sorry for not being with you for so long. It's been very, very hard for me for the past few weeks, and I'm here to try and tell you all about it. So I'm going to try and start at the beginning, and let me start with the rise of the current government in Israel. So this government rose after 5 elections that we had in the past 3 years, and the last government that we had was a very good one, but it wasn't stable. And actually we had a part of the Arab parties as part of the government. That was a first ever in Israel, and some of the people in Israel resented that. And there was a lot of chaos and a lot of demonstrations against that, and it ended up with the government dissolving and the last election. And the result was the formation of this government that is extreme right-wing. Many people chose to vote to this extreme right-wing parties as acting out against the fact that Arab parties were in the last government, because a lot of the Israeli citizens are still in this state of mind of being afraid that the Arabs will try to infiltrate us from the inside and try to turn Israel into another Islamic Palestinian country. So that is the basis for all of this. But when this government when it just was formed, we didn't have any idea what we are facing. And then they came out with this judicial reform, and we realized the magnitude of the threat that it sets on our freedom of speech, and of this threat of the freedom for the judicial system and for the court. And at first we thought that this is something that is very pinpointed to Netanyahu's own court cases. Now, Netanyahu himself, he has 3 indictments that are that he is now standing in court against. We had a previous prime minister that went to court for indictments of bribery and other things that exactly what Netanyahu is standing to trial today. And Netanyahu was very, very vocal that a prime minister cannot be a prime minister and stand to trial. But when it came his turn to be indicted, he stated that he can be a good prime minister and still, even though that he has to go to trial. And he has 3 very serious indictments against him. It's bribery, it is a breach of trust, and I don't remember the third one, but it is very serious. And we thought at first that he's trying to influence the court in order to get his way for his own court cases. So that was the first thought, and that was the first fight. And at the beginning, we thought that this is the main thing that we need to fight against. But then we saw that this was like an octopus. And the more and more that the things developed, and the more and more time elapsed, and every stone that was turned, we found that they infiltrated more and more areas in our lives, in our everyday life, in everything that we care about, in everything that that means something to us. So if it means, for example, education. Yesterday, it was the first day for school here, and in the past 2 months of the summer vacation, we realized that the textbooks were changed in the past few years. They were changed in a way that our children are not being taught about democracy any longer. That they get a lot of information that is bigoted, a lot of religious information, a lot of things that we don't really stand behind. And we just slept, and we just didn't wake up in time. And only now, parents are, we have this organization of parents that are sitting and reading every textbook in order to find those changes that were made, in order to issue a corrected textbook. Apparently, they have people that are on Wikipedia, and they changed a lot of Wikipedia values that are connected to Israel, connected to Judaism, connected to Israeli-Palestinian relationships, and they changed a lot of information in order to adjust it to their point of view. We realized that they changed a lot of things that we care about, and a lot of things, for example, everything that is connected with divorce. Ever since Israel was founded, marriages between Jews had to go through the rabbinic courts. But and also the divorces, but the entire negotiations around divorce could have been negotiated in a court of family law, and now they are trying to transfer all of this into the rabbinic courts that are pro-men and are completely against women. So it's women's rights, it's LGBTQ rights, it's Palestinian rights, and this is the most frightening thing. For example, only last week, one of our ministers, Ben-Gvir, said on national television that his right and his wife's right and their children's right to roam around the occupied territories is greater than the rights of the Palestinians to go to their own, to cultivate their herds or their own land, or even to move between their own villages. So, and then he tried to fix it by saying that he didn't say roam around the occupied territory, but the territories, but he said that it was his right to live in the occupied territories. But that is not what he said, and we know it, and we have it on tape, and we know exactly what he said, and we know exactly what he meant. Whether it's another minister who called to burn a village, because there was an incident there and Jews were killed in it. So the Israelis have a right to burn innocent people there. And apparently that minister has a whole plan to create havoc in the occupied territories, meaning to get those Palestinians that are already living in terrible conditions, that already are very, very in a very bad situation, that he wants them to go out and fight us so we can fight them ferociously and kill as many as we can, and then the rest will just run away, and then we can get the whole area. But that is not even enough. They feel that we as Jews, we are superior to everyone else. And since we are superior to everyone else, it's our right not only to rule Israel, our right to rule the region. They want to rule the whole region from Lebanon to Cairo if they can. So these people are, well, they want an apartheid country. They are, we call it messiahs. They are waiting for the Messiah to come. They want Israel to be a completely religious country. They want us to change completely. They want this country to change into a very bigoted and very terrible country. And many people are looking into leaving. A lot of doctors are looking into leaving, and I have to say that I have been looking into WhatsApp groups that are talking about leaving, and looking into all sorts of things that are needed for doctors in other places in the world, but I don't see myself leaving, and I still fight. And every weekend I go out fighting, and in the middle of the week, whenever I can, I go out and I go demonstrating, and we demonstrate nearly every day. We have demonstrations all day long, whether it is small demonstrations when we go after ministers or after members of parliament, and we call them out, and we just wait when they are inside places, when they are having all sorts of meetings, and we wait outside and we make a lot of noise, or maybe we go to their place where they live and we make a lot of noise, or if we have these big rallies, or we stand in junctions on the street or on bridges, on highways, everywhere that we can, we just daily we have a list of demonstrations, and every day I look at the list of demonstrations and I see which are the demonstrations that are near me and which are the ones that I can go to. Now, every once in a while there are people that are getting arrested, or people that are called to the police for interrogation for nothing. The police is being very, very violent, and I'll get to that in a minute. But the police is becoming very violent. They are treating us in violence. They are arresting people just for demonstrating, and sometimes they just take take someone's ID number, and then they call him or her for interrogation. And once something like this happens, we all go to that police station, and we stand outside and we make noise, and we never leave anyone to be interrogated or to be in a cell alone. We always there, we're always supporting one another. So I can tell you that apart from the time that I'm working in the clinic, I am most of the time occupied with this. It's either demonstrating or being on the WhatsApp groups and sharing information, because every day I wake up and there is something new. For example, this morning we woke up for the news of ferocious and terrible police violence against the Eritrean refugees in the south of Tel Aviv. There are over 140 wounded, at least one killed. And these poor refugees are people that ran away from a very depressive government in Eritrea, and the embassy of Eritrea was having this very big well, it's a ball, or it was this celebration, and there were a lot of attempts to ask for our government to have the embassy cancel this celebration, because there are so many refugees here that are opposing that, because the government of Eritrea is very unjust, very cruel, very as far as I know, it's a very undemocratic, non-democratic government, and they are refugees because of that. And those and they demonstrated against the occurrence of these celebrations, and the police acted in terrible violence against them. They used live ammunition against them, and they killed at least one demonstrator, and they wounded quite a lot. So this is like, they cannot use live ammunition against us, so they are using it against refugees. It's like they need to take down or to take out the aggressiveness that is accumulating in them because of all the last 36, I think, weeks that we have been demonstrating relentlessly, and many of the policemen are feeling frustrated, and they want to take out this aggressiveness that has been accumulating in them, and this was a very good opportunity for them. So this is what we are standing against. Now, before the government, or before the parliament went, wait a minute. Sorry, but I had to bring some water. So before the parliament went on summer break, they passed the first law that they meant to pass out of the laws that they wanted to pass controlling the judicial system. And that law was the law that that abolished or dismissed the unreasonableness act. So what does it mean? The Unreasonableness Act is something that we inherited from the British law, because Britain was controlling Israel before we became a state, and the British law is the basis of our law system. So this act is something that we inherited from the English. And that means that if someone in the government or a minister is deciding something that is unreasonable, or making some kind of a decision or a law that is unreasonable, or deciding not to act in an unreasonable way, the court can come out and say, this is unreasonable, you need to change what you decided. And I'll give you an example. A few years ago, there was a decision not to build shelters, it's different, not to make the fences for kindergartens in the places that are around the Gaza Strip, where a lot of missiles come out. And the reason they said was that it costs a lot of money, which was not true, but it did cost some millions of shekels. And what they did was they did a test. And in that test, they wanted the children to run to shelter, and they measured how long does it take to the children to run to that shelter. And they said that if the children can run in less than a few seconds to that shelter, then there is no need to make super defenses to build extra defenses for the kindergarten. So they did that test, and 90% of the children passed. So 10% of the children did not pass. And they decided that this is good enough, and they don't need to build extra defenses for kindergartens. So the parents went to court, and the courthouse said, no, this is not reasonable, and you cannot expect that the 10% of the children that cannot run as quick not to get a defense, and you need to build the extra defense to the kindergartens. So this is one example of when this reasonableness act was used. And what the government did, they passed a law that says that the court is unable to use this excuse of reasonableness to scrutinize decisions that are made by ministers or by the government, or decisions of ministers not to act. For example, there is a question of the committee that chooses the judges. The government, they want to control the committee that chooses the judges. Why do they want that? Because they want to be able to choose judges that will be more inclined to do the things that they want, that will be more conservative, that will be more inclined to allow them to do things that they want to do, and they think that judges that are not as conservative won't allow that. But what they really want is judges that they can control. They want judges that they can tell them what to do, and not judges that just judge because they have integrity. So they tried to control this committee in several ways, and they failed. And now the Minister of Justice decided not to convene the committee of electing judges, despite the fact that there are quite a lot of judges that are missing, because he knows that he cannot control the way the judges are being elected. And as Netanyahu said in one of his many interviews to foreign television channels, this is the one more thing that they will pass. But this is the most important thing, because if they control the judges, they control everything. If they control the judges, nothing else matters, because then the judges will have to do what they tell them. The judges will be like the judges in, I'm sorry to say that, in Nazi Germany. Judges that will not judge according to law, that will judge according to what the government tells them what to do. There will not be any democracy here any longer. There will be nothing else that we can say freely. We will be scrutinized for everything. We will not be able to get out and demonstrate any longer. Just for example, go and see what happened in Poland and in Hungary since the government gained control over the judges and over the judicial system. It is exactly the same, and Netanyahu and this government are following the footsteps of Poland and Hungary. And unfortunately, we discover daily, every day, we discover new things. And this is why I found out that I cannot read other things. I cannot listen to videos or get updated with royal news. I mean, I do hear about things, I do know vaguely what is going on, so I'm not completely out of touch, but I don't know things good enough in order to make tarot readings. So unfortunately, my tarot readings will have to wait. And I hope that this video brought us to this kind of a place where you understand where we are, and maybe from now on I'll be able to make updates and tell you what is going on, maybe weekly or maybe once in 2 weeks, and maybe I'll be able to get you updated in a more frequent way. So thank you for listening, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.